Oh, yeah, recorded live stream.
It should come up right now, but just FYI.
Okay, this is saying live, so should I go?
Yep, go for it. You're on.
Hi and welcome. This is Tami Bonnell, co-chair for Exit Realty Corps International and a very proud member of the NDILC. And I'm with Desiree Patno, who is a force to be reckoned with, to say the least. But I'm so excited. Not only is she the chairwoman for NAWRB, chairwoman for NDILC, but she is the CEO of NAWRB, National Association of Women in the Real Estate Business. And I can tell you that she has partnered up with everything from social organizations, financial institutions, to literally open doors for people for people from all faiths. And I am just so impressed with what it is that she's done to really open people's eyes and open people's minds. But today we're going to talk about passing the torch, literally giving opportunities to future generations. And one of the things that I've noticed ever since I met Desiree, she's one of those people that sweeps through, and if you ever have the opportunity to have a conversation with you, have a conversation with you, you never forget it, because she literally just sweeps in and her words take over, and you just want to be part of that. You want to be in that environment. And I met her a long time ago. I think at the National Association of Realtors was probably the first time that I had the opportunity to meet with her. We became fast friends, and we had a great opportunity to connect. But one of the things that Desiree's done from at least the time that I've known her is she's always had interns. And I think that that is such a great way to start this conversation about passing the torch. I know you have more to share than that, Desiree, but I'd love to hear about that and how you got it started, because I can't even imagine where some of those people are because of being exposed to you so young. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Okay, I thought there you go. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great pleasure. Thank you. This is fantastic. So the thing is with Pass the Torch, the idea is that when I hired a gentleman named Kate Hollerman, he's been in this industry ever since we started. And the idea is that he says, when I hired him, I said, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. He says, do you realize that means you have to talk to the president? I said, I don't care. Let's do it. So the idea is that he came up and he says, Desiree, why don't we play it forward, and how can we help the people that are around our community? So our very first time we started with interns. We actually started about 11, 12 years ago. We started with Women Helping Women. So Women Helping Women is a huge program here in Orange County. And what happened is we did the very first program as not just as an intern to them, but as a program to help them get back into business placement. Anywhere from 18 to 71 were the age group that we started with. So if you think of interns, we always think of college students or high school students. We think of things that we're going to train them to go up. What about, so the bigger play was, how do we reposition that? So we hurry up and wrote all the different logistics you had to go to, 150 credits you have here in California. What was that going to take to get that earn turn go? Well, for the business aspect, what we did is we actually gave them a business card. We gave them resumes. We did sit down interviews with them. We did in-person interviews to actually say, how do you get a placement? And we took it from, we had 10 out of 150 applicants. So that is one way as an intern. But the second way, to the college student that we think of a more normal way of helping interns, is what we did is that we made sure that we gave them hands-on training for those 150 hours. And the reason we did it is that everyone has unique talent. And one of the gifts that I have is that people come into the employment here at NRB or Desiree Patno Enterprises, and we allow them to, here's your silver platter, here's your tools. Now show me what you want to do with it. You were hired as a receptionist. Do you really want to be that the rest of your life? How do you expand? And so the idea is that when we took that, we said, if we can do it for our employees, why can't we do for the college student? Because you know how we always change every 10 years, or we're in college and we thought we wanted to be this kind of degree and we want to go somewhere else. So the idea was that, okay, you come on board. If I gave you inspiration in various different verticals and what to do you want to stay in that? And so the idea is we were able to take the interns and have them learn from us and fast forward them instead of being the pace of school or what they learn, because you know how sometimes we don't like our professor, sometimes we don't like the surroundings, and sometimes we go to a school that might not be what we're thinking is the best fit at the time. Yeah. So having the interns come in, we were able to say what real life experiences were and give them an opportunity to think. And if you can give someone an opportunity to be their own entrepreneur with thought and provision to scale how they want to scale, they came back, and my excitement, our team's excitement, was seeing them scale and go, oh my God, Desiree, I couldn't sleep last night. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
That inspiration is what drives me to give an experience to you. Not perfection, but to, as you say, how do I leave you when you meet me? You never forget me. Love me or hate me, you'll never forget me. And that is what I think is difference in the interns we need today, is how do we scale them?
I love it. I love it. You know, we have a couple of programs where I work, and one of them, we have 20 somethings, 30 somethings, 40 somethings, 50 somethings, 60 somethings, and we expose them to different courses. And even if we do a broker owner training for our broker owners, we have the people from corporate headquarters come in and attend so that they can be exposed to different experiences, and it opens their eyes and it opens their mind, right? They get a different light and they get a different picture on what they can be. But we also do a personality profile test on everyone that comes to work here, so that they know where their strengths lie, right? They start to find out, oh, I'm passionate about this because this is my kind of personality, and they start to see where those strengths are and where those opportunities are. People become what we tell them they can be. And so giving them that exposure and catching them do something good. And I've witnessed that with you so many times, Desiree, that you're catching somebody. Before we got on here, I have this amazing writer and she's just so talented. And so when you lift somebody up like that, when you elevate somebody like that, they want to be more of that. They really want to stand up and deliver for you. And I think that really does resonate. But for a lot of the people that are listening today, I find so often, if you can just give people exposure, you know, you and I had a conversation about places we've lived that people have never even left that town or left that county. And a lot of times people do what they were raised to do, right?
Yes.
When you and I were growing up, because we're roughly the same age, and when we were growing up, more women were, they were waiting on everybody, right? So they
Yes.
were waitresses, they were secretaries, it wasn't even an administrator, right? I mean, they were waitresses, they were secretaries, they were flight attendants. Almost everything was, they were nurses, taking care of others. And you can nurture people without having to be necessarily waiting on them, right? But that was the experience. So that was the exposure that people had. And unless you said, I'm not going to have that and I'm not going to settle for that, or you got the opportunity to be exposed to something different by someone else, then that's kind of the level. And a lot of times people feel safe in that level because that's what's expected of them. And that's been what's expected of their family and generation after generation. So if you can, and anyone can do it, which is kind of magical. If you can go into, you know, you're a high school student, you can go into a middle school and show them things that might open up their high school and make their high school experience better, and might expose them to things that they would take a different course or participate in a different after school activity that they might not participate in otherwise, because they just had exposure to somebody that was demonstrated really strong leadership skills or had something that was an experience that they wanted to experience. When you get to college, you go back into the high school and have that opportunity. And when you get out in business, that opportunity to jump in, you know, obviously you and I travel a lot and we speak a lot, and I try to make sure that you're in the airport now. I try to make sure that anytime I have an opportunity, that I get an opportunity to go and be in front of Girl Scouts, go into a school, go into, and it doesn't matter whether that's a middle school or a high school or a university. We were talking about a little bit earlier, but there's one university that won't let me come back because every time I go, somebody quits.
That's a great testament, though, to how great you are. I mean, think about it. Okay, so you have, I mean, you can make so much money, you can do this, the scale of what you're doing. And we talk about the great resignation when we were talking about that could be related to saying, why do this when I can make so much more money doing this, or I can provide and get, you know, into different ways of generational wealth. And so I want to flip the switch onto you. I want to say how incredibly great you are, that I have never gone anywhere with someone who's actually heard you speak and saying, oh my gosh, I'm dying to meet Tami. She is incredible. Her dynamic, her way to deliver things, and her knowledge of getting into my love of life. You have this incredible platform, Tami, that you have a way to curate people. And that's why I'm so thankful you're part of my tribe and part of my friendship, of that you care about people so heavily that you tell them like it is, You show them ways to make them better, and you're an avid book reader. I mean, when we talk about Pass the Torch, going from the CEO of working and showing these Girl Scouts, I mean, they're 5 years old. They're trying to like, I'm the CEO. Like, are you really? and to have that, but that level, starting that young, then going to the colleges and going to the high schools and going to everyone and allowing other brokerages to come to your brokerage to hear you speak, it showcases how you want the industry to succeed, you want people to succeed, and you always want to have an equal playing field for everyone on the space. And that speaks such volumes for how incredible Pass the Torch is such a perfect play for you, in the sense that you are so giving in every aspect you do in life. You're about the culture of human being. No, seriously, it's not, business is not everything to Tami. It's the life of quality of life, your personal life, your professional life. Your company amplifies the care and love that not a single person in management took that no one got laid off during times of good and bad. You pass the torch that if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you. And if I can't do it myself, then I'm not going to expect you to do it. That translates to how great you are, and just it resonates through your whole company and everything else. I cannot express.
I don't
that.
even know what to say about that. That's ridiculously humbling, but I do think that,
True.
It's so important for us. You were talking about the Great Resignation, and one of the things that I think happened out of COVID is that people woke up. They decided that they wanted to be better in the community. They wanted to be better neighbors. So you see the Great Resignation, and so many of them want to leave what they're doing. And it's not just about income, right? And in fact, we have a phrase for it. They want more, right? And they don't just want more money. They want more moments. Okay. They want more opportunities. They want more occasions that they can celebrate. They want more relationships. They want deeper, better relationships than what it is that they have right now, right? They want more relevance. They want to be relevant to what's going on today, not just staying in the back and just staying there because everybody expected them to. They want more experiences. They want more exposure to opportunities. And every one of us has the opportunity to be able to do that, to take it to that next level, or to expose more people. And it's just asking yourself those effective questions. In what way can I impact these people in a better way today? In what way can I do something that's going to wow somebody? But, to me, value equals income. And so the more value you provide for somebody, the more you're going to have income. But that income doesn't necessarily even have to be money, right?
Right.
So you feel the best about yourself when you help to change somebody's life and you help to improve somebody else. And, even when you're feeling bad, people say, pay it forward, do something good for somebody else. And all of a sudden you'll pull yourself back out of that slump. But this was great. The pandemic was great in the fact that it really did wake people up to the fact that they didn't want to just settle anymore. If I'm only going to live for so long, or it really made them realize that tomorrow's not promised. And it made them realize that if this is going to be the rest of my life, usually it takes something major, right? A health issue happens, and then you say, I'm going to change my whole life. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to pay attention to this. I'm going to walk more. I'm going to do the things that, why do we wait? Everybody says they're going to do these things when they retire, or after they make so much money, or after they do so much. And every one of us, and I think that that's one of the things I love the best about these leadership principles, is every single person. You don't need to have a title to be a leader. You don't need to have any type of designation around your name in order to be a leader. You just need to lead. And it can be one person at a time. In fact, so often one-on-one really does resonate and really does make a difference. You're having a compound interest in somebody else, right? You're pouring yourself into somebody else so that their world can start to be better. And it's such a great feeling when you can see people, you've had the same thing as me, that, you pour into somebody and then you see who they become, and they become even bigger and better and faster than what it is that you thought was going to happen, because it just lit a fire within them. And, we're not making them into that person. We're just showing them, we're just turning them
the tools, give them the silver platter,
right? They get a little bit more of an experience. So You put on these events in order to give people that opportunity to have exposure, and it's, they end up networking with other people that they end up having a connection with, and you really make it, especially with the, obviously with the magazine, making it so that people can see another person's experience. I don't know if you have a one word for 2022, but my one word for 2022 is solution. I want to focus on the solution and only being the solution for people, not being the problem, right? Let's not stay stuck in, everybody has problems, but if we literally brainstormed and said, which I think is part of this whole passing the torch, right? Giving people an opportunity to brainstorm, giving people an opportunity to collaborate. I've had high school and college students come into business meetings and they make a suggestion that is so far out of left field, and you're sitting there going, what would make you? And then all of a sudden you're like, that's an amazing idea, right? You have this aha moment, because you can sometimes get so caught up in the middle of what you're doing that you can't see the tree for the bark, never mind the forest for the trees. And so giving them that opportunity to be able to collaborate and giving them that opportunity to be able to brainstorm, people want to be part of something better. And the key is part of. And so it can't just be that we go in and become a professor and stand up at the front and lecture all the time. There's got to be this opportunity for them to feel safe. And one of the things that, you mentioned it with when we've been through tough times, our company has never, everybody in leadership, when we went through the recession and when we started the pandemic, we took a hit and pay so that we didn't have to let anybody go. Because we said the buck stops here and we're responsible for our people first. And the best thing about that is that it created a safe environment. When we did it during the worst recession since the Depression, when the pandemic hit, they had so much faith and trust that everybody raised their hand and said, how can I help? How can I be part of the solution? Instead of because they felt comfortable enough and safe enough in that environment to jump out and take risks, right? And to jump out and do more. And
that experience.
Yeah, but I think that this whole entire council, for anybody that doesn't know, this is National Diversity, Inclusion, and Leadership Council. And so it's giving everyone, regardless of where you came from, regardless of where you started, no matter what your background is, no matter what your history is, it's giving people that opportunity. We're trying to highlight as many things as we possibly can of giving people exposure. And this was your brainchild, Desiree. And I can't, thank you enough for doing it. And it's showing this exposure so that people can see, okay, if that makes sense. One of the things that I actually learned at one of your events was that Freddie Mac, they didn't ask people what they made in their past job, in their prior job, because they wanted to make sure that it was equal pay. And by not doing that, they just paid everyone whatever they were qualified for. If they had a job that paid $20 an hour and this job paid 40, they never asked about the 20, they just paid them 40. And so they just changed the whole trajectory of that person's family by making it fair and equitable for everybody. And when we can share all of the solutions, that's passing the torch too, right? That we're taking it to that next generation so that we have a better generation of business leaders. We have a better generation of leaders and families. We have a better generation, whatever is working for you. And I think we should do it as mothers. I'm a grandmother too. So as mothers, as grandmothers, what's working for you? What are those things that worked so well, that had such an impact on your family, that you want to take it to the next level and have other people in your community have that same opportunity? And the same thing in business. What are those things you did? And it doesn't matter if it could be something as simple as, hey, here's an app that's going to save you some time, and it's going to keep you on track, right? Or connecting one person with another person, because I think that's another way to pass the torch, right? You introduce them to somebody that helps bring out the best in them and that makes them want to be better and helps them to jump out of their comfort zone. So maybe they're willing to shed some of those people that don't bring the best out in them, that don't bring the most out in them, that they don't want to be around. So, while we have this moment, because we obviously have a lot of people on this council that had a huge amount of things going on in their world today, so that we didn't get an opportunity to have them on. And we have some great leaders in this organization that obviously have to lead other organizations as well. But what made you start NDILC.
Wow. Okay. So you just went through 500 different things. So I'm going to address those
Sorry.
before you address the NDILC.
Address all of it.
All right. I'll address a couple. All right. So you made a comment about going deeper, going into the fact of really spending one-on-one quality time is better than always sometimes having big groups. So there's some statistics that I came out with a couple of years ago that I remember we were reporting on. The friendship used to be 4. It went down to 2.5. The number of personal friends that we could have that you, like you said, you want to have deeper relationships because of the pandemic. So that went down to 2.5. Don't quote me on this, but I know it's less than that now. I think it's less than 2, that we actually have true, real friends that we could call no matter what happened to our life, that they would be there to do whatever we asked. That has now allowed us to think about really what matters. And when you talk about that ROI, you talk about, that income. What is that income? And again, are you going to be there when someone needs you in time of need versus then for the monetary side set? So I wanted to bring that to that. And I think it's so valuable when we talk about value equals income. Income in what way? Showing up, being there, and being a provider. We did the triple P, where we call it the pink tax, poor tax, provider tax. Yeah. How often do we not take care of our, we don't get paid for taking care of our children. We don't get paid for taken care of, and not that we have to or should, but the point is that anytime is a time of need that someone needs help, we wouldn't get paid for it. But someone has some kind of physical challenges or mental challenges or disabilities or things, we take care of them. And women outlive men, so we're taking care of usually the aging population or something that has that needs additional support. So all those things affect us just from the provider side. And so when you talk about the pink tax, we all know about the feminine hygiene.
You just froze for a second, so I'm just gonna fill in the gap for a second because you froze, Desiree. But that
this job pays, that is fantastic. And those are the reasons we started, and I'll play this into why I started in NDILC. The other thing is that, I'm going to pause on that for real quick. You also talked about the solution. What is my word? Well, in 2021, my word was inspiration, inspiring. Number 22 is accountability. And I believe it's similar to the solution because my whole life, I finally realized about 3 years ago, what value does Desiree provide? 100% is the solution. I don't sell. I provide, you think of real estate, you're selling, you're buying, you're acquiring. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. I'm not good at that. Everyone, I'm not good at that. What I'm great at is my expertise in solution problem solving. So I provide the solution very quickly, no matter what it is. What is it worth to you? If I can provide you the solution, here's the solution. What value do you have on it? And what is it worth to you? And when you can say that and have conviction about it and completely understand that you have this unique talent that can curate that very quickly, then I realized who I am and came and provide that solution. So I wanted to say, when you said solution, I think it's incredible, but my whole trajectory for the last 3 years, I finally found my core is solution. So that being said, and then also, I'd like to look at the fact that you talk about the, a safe space that we can talk about not feeling that someone's going to impact us. What do we feel like? Are we okay coming out and talk about their different things? And how do we help the people given pass the torch about providing skill set, accountability, a way teachers? I think one of the things that we have overlooked when you talk about pass the torch, our teachers are our doctors, people who have to teach us how do we take care of our body? How do we take care of our mind? Tami, you need to do this and this and this. Well, are you a doctor? Wait a second. We need to be much more receptive of other people saying, I tried this ointment, or I tried, oh my God, what are we using for our beauty here? What are we using for our skin? What are we doing to make ourselves feel better? And looking good and working out is hard work. If it was easy, we all could just do it and get up and say it's not an issue, right? So those are things I want to go with it. But so back to your question, why did I start NDILC? I realized, actually, Rebecca Steele actually put me up to it at a conference. She says, Desiree, you need to, seriously, She is, and unfortunately, she just texted me why she's on. She's got an interview. She's switching jobs. So, all right, I guess that's a good enough series.
You just froze. And I don't want to lose this point. Okay, you just froze. So start from Rebecca Steele.
Okay, thank you. So Rebecca Steele is a complex engineer. So she was responsible, if you think about when 2008 hit, everyone was dealing with whether we're going to foreclosure, I need a loan mod and everything else. So she went in and she went into Bank of America and said, I need you to write off millions to save hundreds of millions of dollars. And I need to have these right away approved. This stuff of taking hours and months and days and to process this, and the mental inertial energy that's being spent here is too much. So she went in and got 1,500 white tents around the United States and got hundreds of thousands of homeowners to get them improved into the next world, whether it be exit into, I love the exit play, into, every time I see that exit sign, yes. Anyway, it reminds me of you, Tami. I love the story about that. But anyway, it allows them to go into their next chapter. It allows them to close off of thing and settle and move on to something good and positive and go through with that. And the idea is that she took that on. She wasn't in finance. As a complex engineer, she solved the solution. And so when she came to me and she says, Desiree, I want to help mentor. I want to start a council so we can collectively go with it. And so she gave me the idea. I said, you're on? And she says, absolutely. I want to help do the next, play it forward. I said, we're down. And so from there, I said, wait a second, if the council is going to be composed of finance, there's so many different groups and organizations out there that have, real estate, that have finance, that have, all these different places. I said, we need to connect the economic levels. We need to connect the vertical levels of different industries. So if you think about it, it's women in housing real estate ecosystem. So here we have someone who's an AI scientist. Here we have someone who is, multiple real estate plays. Here we have someone who's in the communication technology play. Here we have someone who's in the family office play. Here we have someone who's in ability to work with the unhoused, which is your homeless, all the way to your family offices, being on women on boards. And these are initiatives that not all organizations can sign off. But the funnel is we can do it and you support that cause. So that way, every vertical, every play is that we're helping the gender pay, we're helping the gender divide, but also we're bringing awareness to that. Because some of the things is that your organization in a real estate play, maybe your doctrine says you can't endorse something, right? Or something's out of your play. But through an organization or a platform, like we're a partnership. So we go out and say, listen, we're here to say this is good as a nonpartisan, and we make sure we don't endorse any candidates, we don't get into politics or anything issues. So that way we're always at the table. We're always at the White House. We're always at every level economic and every government agency. The value is we take on issues like the banking industry. Why are you overcharging the consumer at only has $100 in bank and you're giving them a $36 NSF funds, right? At the same time, why are we insurance? We're writing a white paper on insurance. You're writing a white paper on affordable housing. How do we collectively help each other from, I never thought of that from that vertical. And that is the value of having senior leaders from all different industries come together and go into a mastermind think tank. And that's the value that I'm so appreciative. So it has evolved. I spoke at a IMN last week, and a woman came up to me. She says, "Oh my God, we were talking about student housing, about all the different variables of what student housing brings today." And she goes, "Desiree, I'm going to be just like you. Oh my gosh, you are just incredible." And there was like 4 or 5 people waiting in line to talk to me. I looked at her. I said, "Let me tell you." I said, I wasn't born this way. I evolved. It took me many years, many decades. And I said, I finally got to the point where I didn't care what people would say. I cared about myself, and I stayed true to myself, and I stayed true to my values. And those people who aligned with me saw the value and were excelled in it. So now I don't let the little things bother me. I pick my battles. I pick my things that I want to go with it. And it took a lot to get through, because trust me, if you would have met me 20 years ago or 5 years ago, no. And she was like, "Oh, please, can I talk? And can we have another conversation, how I do my investments and how I do?" And she runs this big company. At the same time, it was a way to deal with what we're dealing with today. And that's why, Tami, you are I lean on you more than you ever know. I said, what would Tami do in this? What would she think about it? And that's where I think that pass the torch, put yourself in a position, as my father would always say, if, you know, he's passed, long gone. And I now put myself and I go, what would dad do in this position? What would he say? How would he handle this? And I think that pass the torch can be also subliminally what we would do based on someone else's perspective.
Yes, it is.
You know, I think that's so true, that you do have those voices in your head that of what somebody said in the past, and you know, those things that resonate with you and that you want to be able to pass the torch. But one of the things that you said that I really loved is that whole idea of being true to yourself. You know, it's a whole lot easier to attract people than it is to recruit people. And you attract your own tribe, right? When you're trying to force somebody, it creates this rough edge. But when you're reinforcing people, it's smooth and it goes smoothly. And you can have difficult conversations with people that you genuinely care about, that are part of your tribe, because they know that you're doing it out from a caring perspective. Yeah. So you want to attract those people that are meant to be part of your tribe and bring those people in. You don't want to force somebody else, because it's going to make everybody else uncomfortable, right? And you do get to a point in your life, and certainly age helps, you know, getting a little bit older. So you've had so many experiences that
we got 40 more years to go. Come on.
We don't have to force it, right? We want to be able to attract the people that we can help get the most and the best out of, not the people that are going to go up against us, because that's not going to help us or them. And so who are those people that you can impact? Who are those people that you can really make a difference in their lives? And maybe it is, you know, it could even be today that you go to a store and that person behind the counter, by saying one nice thing or making one simple suggestion that makes things smoother or easier for them, changes everything. You know, it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody that directly reports to you. It doesn't have to be somebody just in business. It can be in absolutely anything, you know. But all of us, I think, feel better when we're helping somebody else and when we're taking somebody to the next level. But you grow more, you know, think of all the things that when you're doing stuff for other people, you actually grow more than the person that you're helping. You evolve more than the person that you're helping by just being there. And one of the things that I think is really good about passing the torch and paying it forward to that future generation is that if we're living in the past, that's stress. Stress is unfinished business, right? That we have unfinished business. If we're catastrophizing, we're focused on the future, and that has anxiety. But when we're in the present tense, we're in the best frame of mind we could possibly be in. And it's, you know, everybody's got all these to-do lists, and that's another thing that happened out of the pandemic, that everybody had to slow down and stop and physically be present. And that did give them an opportunity to say, okay, what are the things that I really want? So, you know, in passing the torch and in looking at what you're going to do to help other people, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. And that is, you have to know what you want. You have to know why you want it. And you have to know how bad you want it. Because if you really want it bad enough, you'll focus on getting that done. You'll focus on surrounding yourself with the right people to help you to achieve whatever that goal is. And if it's not something you want that bad, you've got to ask yourself some really effective questions. What is it that I want? What brings me to life? What brings me alive? What really gets the most? You saying that all of the things that you've done has really been that you've been the solution. There are people that are going to run around and show homes and just love that whole entire process. But to me, that opportunity to be able to help somebody build true family wealth, or that opportunity because they have circumstances going on in their lives, and you're actually helping them with the circumstances, not necessarily even just the home. This is going to be a solution because it's the circumstances they're in, right? People move because of their circumstances, and married, divorced, having no money, having more money. But you know what? People move in jobs, and people move around other people for friendships because their circumstances change too. Sometimes you outgrow some of the people that you were around at a younger point in your life. Sometimes you do outgrow those people, and that's not a bad thing, and you're not wishing any ill will on them. But I think all of us were put here for a purpose. And if you're not really living that purpose, you're not really living that lane, then you're not you're not fully present. You're not fully here. So I just think it's so important to make sure that you really do ask yourself those effective questions. And, I play a game. I don't know. I started at a really, I don't know, really early on, I guess. So every day I ask myself, what do I want to get out of today? That might be an appointment. It might be getting somebody's signature. It might be making people laugh. It doesn't matter what it is, but every single day I play a game. Do you want to get, 5 appointments today? Do you want to get a speaking engagement today? What is it you want to get? And it can be even, a laugh out of my grandkids or an experience with them. It doesn't matter what it is, but all of those things, asking it in advance, what do you want to get out of it? And the last thing that I tell myself is, who am I going to wow today? So wowing one person a day, sometimes that turns out to be the person that you're going to now be a mentor for. Sometimes that turns out to be that person that you're going to be passing the torch because you stopped and took the time. And that's really what it is, right? We're willing to stop and take the time, whether that's 2 minutes or 5 minutes, that you're going to just be uninterrupted time of really focusing on this individual to hopefully help them get to the next level. And don't take it personally if they're not picking up on it now. Sometimes something will resonate with them later on. And, you need to think about it from that perspective. So when you start your day, because you're passing the torch in so many different directions, right? Giving all these people exposure to all these different directions. Do you have a deliberate intent when you get up and you say, do you focus on what you want to get out of the day? Do you focus on their faces? What is it that you do that, because you're having this impact every single day and you're having this impact when you go out and speak, do you have a picture in your mind, or do you just have the picture in your mind of the solution?
That's a very interesting question. And I think it resonates exactly to what you said, and you gave me
Desiree's in an airport, so her screen is freezing sometimes, and that's what happens when we're all in the real life and the real world. But I really want to hear a point.
Yeah,
you froze there, so you have to start.
Sorry. So one of the things that's so incredible is that I love these sessions. I love the conferences. I love I learned so much from listening to everyone on the calls, and I learned so much from the inspiration that we bring together and the excitement. And the idea is that you talked about circumstances. To me, that is, I never thought of that is that for me, I'm helping solve the solutions to the circumstances versus then, yes, I mastered, selling homes, like the process of doing it. But this end of the day, that's an individual versus then, and yes, it impacts their families, and yes, it impacts generations. But how do I show more? You can't just highlight a family on a repetitive way, right? And so for that, circumstances, you talk about affordable housing. What about resettlement of all the refugees? What about what's happening with the aspect is, here we have 4 million coming from Ukraine. Here we have to deal with, even though in Afghanistan coming over, all those different things. And so you're right. What do I know? How do I settle that circumstance? So to your point, to answer the question, to me, is I analyze when I get up in the morning, I say, okay, I got XYZ that I have to get done. But one of the things you taught me was, what are those 3 things that I need to get done? How am I, you say the wow factor, you see, who am I going to make the impact for the day? And am I going to make a game of it? So to me, to keep me from going completely into a different world, I've got to make sure, because that's where as a visionary of time, I do that all the time. And so I have to focus on, what am I going to accomplish? How much is it going to make a difference that I can help pass the torch and understand that everyone understands my thought before it gets there. And I have to lay down that roadmap. And by doing that, it's because if you think about it, how many people in the banking industry actually even said, oh, we don't need women, that we had a multicultural division, African-American, Hispanic, and Asian. And I had to fight that for 6 years. So where do I get my roadmap to continue that? So for me in the morning, I wake up and I say, how do I continue that roadmap? And if I've been doing it this way, and I've only been getting this much traction, how do I navigate, maybe turn the dial to make it even better? And sometimes it'll be something I've never even thought about that just pops into my mind and say, okay, we're going to address this behind the scenes, and then we're going to launch it. So to answer your question, it's not something that I consciously
it sounds like it's something that you froze for a minute, Des. And
Yeah.
I think that part of that is that your big picture is always in front of you.
Yes.
So the big picture is always in front of you. So you're consciously keep heading towards that end goal. This big picture is always in front of you. And so you just keep looking at making strides towards that end goal. And you can tell by what it is you're doing. I know you're freezing a lot because of being at an airport. So but before we go, I just want you to share with everybody next week on the 8th, what's going to happen.
Oh, the international,
really,
yeah. Before we do
really
that,
exciting because this is, obviously International Women's Month and Women's History Month, and International Women's Day is next week on the 8th, and you have something special happening, and I want to make sure that you share it.
Absolutely, thank you. But before I do that, one second, I want to share one book because otherwise we wouldn't be true to what we posted was the book. So Carla Harris, Pearls. I absolutely love Carla Harris. She is the wealth head of the wealth department for all of Morgan Stanley. And her thing is that her pearls are teach everyone around you to be your best champion, so that when the going gets
while Desiree's freezing for a second, I was going to share my book, Humankind. I think Deepak Chopra writing about it, an elegant, wise book of love in action, will definitely help if you're looking for how you can pass the torch and how you can pay it forward.
You there?
You froze again. So
we didn't say anything. You go, no, go for it. Okay, so just I make it fit. Carla Harris, Carla Pearls. She's got 4 or 5 books out there. She's performed in Carnegie Hall 5 times. I cannot express how this woman has played it forward so many times. As you talk about generations and what she does, she teaches at every different place. She has this incredible university things that she does. So love her. Anyway, you had one. Go for it.
Well, I was saying, I actually said it while you were there, but Brad Aronson, Humankind, and it is literally love in action. So that if you're looking for how you can pass the torch and how you can pay it forward, there's a great opportunity in here because you'll see things from all different exposure. So just share on the 8th.
Absolutely. So internet. So yes. So what we're going to do is on March 8th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, so 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, this March 8th, International Women's Day. We have partnered with the L Family Office Network. So Deanna Guru is the CEO and founder of it. So the excitement is that these are all going to be women from all different aspects of banking, finance, ultra high net worth individual women that work in the capacity of global social impact changers. And the theme for this year for International Women's Day is going to be break the bias. So the idea is that everyone from the NDILC, several of the women from the NDILC have committed to be on it's Tuesday, March 8th. And the idea is that we're going to have this incredible platform of these incredible women, and a lot of you have never met each other. So the idea is that, and when you talked about sharing and partnering with them, this is a global platform that we're going to be presenting. So we're going to have some people from all over the world on the speaking panel. So please join in, and you'll see it on LinkedIn on the event live under Deanna Guru, Desiree Patno, and both on EnterDB and under L Family Office Networks. And if you want to, we'll put it in the chat as we post this as we go through and recap. So thank you very much. Again, it's Pass the Torch for the entire month. So please highlight, as we're highlighting executive women or women that you feel that are passing the torch at any economic level in any capacity, young or old. Think about your 5-year-old. If they're passing the torch to help a 3-year-old and taking care of it, we want to know about it. So please post it on our thing. And thank you very much, Tami, for hosting.
Thank you so much. And I love that hashtag pass the torch. You know what, my mom, actually, this is the anniversary of my mom passing away. She was only 47 when she passed away. And my favorite thing that she said, and I think that it's a perfect way to close, is before she passed away, she said, I need you to promise me one thing, never say I wish I had. And I think that that's probably a good way to end today. Honestly, start thinking about never saying you wish you had, just do it. And
I love it
so much. Thank you so much. Have safe travels.
Thank you,
Desiree. And I really love and appreciate you. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.